my name is Gedye. I work with a business called Concierge. I like to swear because we call ourselves the kick-ass training company helping you ace work and life in more ways than one. We're really, really proud and privileged to work with some of Australia's most trusted organisations to help their super smart experts communicate their ideas in a way that lands with, well, the rest of us. People like me, people in business, people in government and so on. Or as I like to say, we like to help smart people say smart stuff good. Yeah. We're going to get really down to basics today with that kind of thing. A bit of housekeeping. We do have one short hour which we're going to condense into hopefully 45 minutes. Don't hold me to it, but we'll give it a go. Participation review is of course encouraged, but not necessary. If you'd rather sit back and relax and chill, that's fine too. The worksheets and presentation from today will be in your inboxes via Holly and team. And emailed following to you. Photography and video, yes, as you are aware by now, we do have a camera in the room. I'm assuming it's just at me in my presentation. And another important point is that as your resident advertising copywriter, human writing person, I'm here to help you beyond this workshop. I'll be floating around probably for an hour and a half or so. If you'd like to come up to me with any questions or if I can look at your work and give you an opinion, I'd be more than delighted to. Shall we kick on? So you came into the room and you saw a workshop called Writing for Humans, and a few of you might have thought, what a silly name for a workshop. Was that you, anyone? Maybe? You're not wrong. But at Happiness Concierge, we like to take things back to basics so we can start to really get to the heart of what we're doing. And when we look beyond an audience and appeal to the human, that is to say, looking beyond our grant reviewers or looking beyond policymakers, looking beyond, for me, customers of my advertising work, we can appeal to the human and start to use those cool little human insights that we know to be true to influence a desired outcome. The real why, of course, is because we know how important your work is. And when you do manage to influence that outcome, both with your grant applications and beyond in your careers, when you can take what you do and make it accessible to a broad audience, everyone's going to be better for it. It's an important job you're doing, and we're all here to help you get there. Before I gush too much about human beings in this Writing for Humans workshop, I want to share a couple of hard truths about human beings. The first one is this. Does anybody see themselves in this slide? I do. Has anybody got a Netflix continue watching queue longer than their actual has previously watched? Yep. You get where I'm going. There is a clue on this slide as to why the average human has an attention span of just 8 seconds. Why might that have been decreased since the year 2000? What happened then? Bit louder? Mobile phones, exactly. We were hit with the mobile revolution and things got bad for our attention spans. I wasn't seeing a great deal of surprise in the room, so I'm guessing we all know this to be true. We all have really short attention spans. It takes a lot to get us to engage. Here's some more from the study. Early adopters and heavy social media users front load their attention and have more intermittent bursts of high attention. They're better at identifying what they want and don't want to engage with, that's so me, and need less to process and commit things to memory. We are spoilt rotten of things to keep our attention amused. We've got to work really hard. I want to throw it out to you and just have a general discussion around what else we know about human readers. What do we know about ourselves when we're reading pieces of work? Has to be engaging. That's exactly right, yeah. What else do we know about ourselves as readers? Do we like to read? Would we rather look at something else? Bit louder for me? We like pictures. We do like pictures. The human brain is wired to process pictures at a rate of 60,000 times faster than text. We're not built to read text. Is there anything else we can think of about the average human reader? Speed read. I see. So it takes a strong beginning or a cheat mode to the conclusion for you to go back and read the whole thing. Anybody else relate to that? Absolutely. Exactly right. There are some hard truths about human readers, which is why we're really hard to engage with our writing. And here's kind of a list that we put together that we know to be true from our years, my colleague and my years working in communications, marketing and advertising. We are impatient AF, 8 seconds max, I reckon. We are self-selecting, which is what you just said. We switch off early unless we're caught. We're highly visual, exactly right, 60,000 times faster than text. A couple of other things that define our behaviour is that we really love seeking solutions. We desperately want to understand the world around us. We want to understand the text in front of us. We have a problem-solving gene within us, all of us. And the second thing, of course, is that we have heart and we crave meaning and we are a little bit selfish and we can't help but wonder, how does this relate to me? If I'm reading a layman's summary, I wonder, is this impacting me, my family and my friends? We can't help but make that connection. Yeah? The beauty of these insights is it allows us to do a few things with our writing that can win hearts and minds. I am not a grant writing expert, but I am very experienced in copywriting and creative advertising. And I know the importance of hearts and minds because we make decisions, purchasing and otherwise, based on that combination. We make decisions emotionally and back them up rationally is quite often the case. Yeah? A great opportunity we've got to do this today. There are some 3 critical questions that we must ask ourselves before we put pen to paper, and it helps to centre us in how we approach our writing and our audience, who must always come first. What do I want my reader to think? What do I want my reader to feel? And what do I want them to do? 3 important questions that I ask myself every time I approach a creative brief, and I think 3 questions that would be really helpful to put us in the zone for our layman summary. I'd love it if you would humour me and turn to your worksheets, please. Does everybody have a pen in the room? There are pens at the top and I can bring you one. The page looks like this, and yes, I have misnumbered the pages in the worksheets. I'm only human. It is a mess. I'd love you to have a think, and I want to give you 5 minutes to jot down in your own words, not testing any writing skills at all, just about the sentiment behind your work. What do I want a person that's a grant reviewer to think? What do I want them to feel about your work? And what do I want them to do? That ought to be the easiest one, right, after getting a grant application. There's an easy call to action right there. If you have time and you rush through that, please think beyond the grant application process and think to the other people you'd like to influence throughout your career. Maybe they're people who influence policy on the 2nd row, and then everyday Australians in the 3rd row. If you'd like to ask a question, pop your hand up and I'll come over. Normally I'd play some Taylor Swift at this moment. Quite polarising. Just 1 minute left, I think we'll do. How are we going? Yeah. I think most people are sort of finishing up. Yeah? Anybody like to share perhaps what they want the grant reviewer to feel? The comment was, we want them to feel it's valuable. Yeah. Brilliant. Yes. Interesting and visible. Visible's a good one. Yeah. Fantastic. This is a helpful exercise that I do every time I get a creative brief. I go the think, feel, buy, and do. It helps us to reframe when we jump from complex projects over to something that feels a bit different. Yeah. There are 3 things we can do with those weird little human insights we talked about, the attention span, the love of visuals. There are 3 things we can do. The first one is to engage a bit of active storytelling. Humans are hardwired to remember information in story form. We can engage some techniques in our storytelling to hold our readers' attention as we share our ideas in our layman summary. The next thing we can do, which I know you'll have no issue with at all, is showing clear impact. We mentioned that humans are problem-solving, solution-seeking machines, but we also sometimes, when we're busy, need to have that resolution closed full circle. Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I will butcher this quote, Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "It is not enough to be clear, you must be so clear that you cannot be misunderstood," and that is the case when it comes to writing for busy people. The third thing, with which Ralph Waldo may or not agree with, is to use plain English language. Oh man, plain English language is so powerful because it mimics how we speak. Let's talk about some active storytelling. Does anybody know what I mean when I say active storytelling? Yeah? The subject is doing an action. Alex is presenting a workshop called Writing for Humans, not a workshop called Writing for Humans is being presented by Alex, because I want to be the sort of hero of my own story, right? I'm doing the thing as opposed to having that action received or landed upon me. A really powerful technique that is simple. This technique presents us a character and a goal. I'm the character. An active voice mimics the way we speak, and it takes us on a bit of a journey. I want to share with you an example of active voice versus passive voice, and I want to sort of get your opinion on if any of these feel a bit fresher and what the difference might be between the two. The first one says a proactive approach to heart health is recommended by Australian GPs versus Australian GPs recommend a proactive approach to heart health. Can someone share the difference between the two? I know it's a big group. Yes? Yes, I'll just repeat that for everyone. The person who's coming in is at the start of the sentence, so it gets our attention first. That's exactly right. There's one other difference that I thought you might pick up on too. Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's happening, isn't it? It feels a bit more alive. And there's one tiny difference I thought you might pick up on as well between the two. A simple difference. Which one's shorter? The second one. I read this somewhere, do not hold me to it, but I've read that taking an active voice where possible can cut your writing by 1/3. When you've got a deadline and word count to hit, not so helpful. when you want to cram in as many words as you can, aka me doing marketing at uni. But when you can and you want to go concise, try an active voice as a technique. Here's a bit of a longer example of passive storytelling, just to take a look at the difference between the passive approach and a more active approach as well. And this is from an amazing book called Writing Science in Plain English by Anne E. Green. You have this written, I believe, in your worksheets if you are unable to see the screen. It says, an opportunity could be provided by horned beetles to combine studies of trait development with experiments looking at sexual selection and the evolutionary significance of enlarged male weapons, horns. After almost 10 years of research, the PI may now have the opportunity, if funded, to piece together disparate parts of the research program, offering opportunities to train young scientists and possibly providing a picture of the evolution of unusual animal shapes. If you wanted to hop onto your worksheets again and find this page, the number of the page I couldn't confirm. 2. That makes sense. And I'd love it if you'd have a quick go at circling a few of the words here in this changed active version, circling a couple of the words that you think bring it to life and make it feel like an active story. There are 6 or so of them. I'll give you a couple of minutes. It's a bit like Where's Wally? Dear, which I like. Anybody else? Are we ready to go? Have we circled some words that feel like it's giving our language a bit of oomph, a bit of life? What do we circle? Circled inspiring, yeah? What does that word do? Makes you want to step up, yeah. Simple, isn't it? Yeah. Did we circle anything else? Unusual opportunity. Why do we think that's a good one to circle? Engaging, and I heard the word unique. Very good, exactly. Unique and engaging. Did we circle anything else? Forge. I wouldn't have circled. Tell me about Forge. It's active. Emotive and vision. Yeah. Smart. I'll circle that next time. Do we get anything else? Anything else stand? What was that? Comprehensive, yeah. What does that big word say? Everything, right? Literally, yeah. Fantastic. I'm going to flick to a slide. See, Forge wasn't circled. How embarrassing for me. The underlined words could be unusual, ding, building on, ding, 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 which is similar to forge, right? In that way, it's active. And the word now. The word now. It says the PI now has the opportunity to forge a truly integrated research program. The word now is one of the most popular words in copywriting, or the most powerful, I should say, along with the words free, duh. We love free. I love free. And the word because, interestingly. The word because is one of the most powerful words in copywriting. There you go. So these are some of the words, for various reasons, that stand out as being words that add life and engagement and activity to your writing. There's one we didn't pick out, it's bizarre. Look at that. The evolution of some of nature's most bizarre animal shapes. That word really stands out, doesn't it? So we've talked about active storytelling in very top-line terms, and we can go into it further later today. But the next thing we can do with our writing is to show some clear impact. You are, in a way, lucky because I'd imagine the impact of your work has numbers attached to it. You can tell what's going on with the research. There's results. Am I right or wrong? Sometimes, as an advertising creative, my work is totally subjective. A client can look at me and say, yay, or mm-mm. My impact is harder to prove. I mentioned earlier the Ralph Waldo Emerson quote because it's so important to state the obvious, even if it feels too obvious. We have to be so clear, we can't be misunderstood, we can leave no room for misinterpretation in our results. As you mentioned before, we call out the new and the unique and the interesting. New is one of the most powerful words you can use. Find what's new and articulate it. We show the human impact of our work, how it relates to the reader and to those beyond the reader. And there's a quick tip that I do all the time. If I'm turning features into benefits, I ask myself, so what? Until I get to a really distilled answer. We're helping with heart health, so what? So we can, so what? So we can improve lives. Great. Plain English, my best friend. Once I learned about plain English and that it was okay to use plain English and break a few rules, it's been a life changer. Simple is so smart because plain English allows your audience to connect with what you're saying with no barriers to understanding. It's one of the most powerful tools in your toolkit, and the best part is you already have it in your pocket. We can all do this. Sometimes something happens to me when I'm writing, and something happens where my need to express what I want gets in the way of a message that sits with the audience properly. Yeah. A tip is to write how you speak, and if you're not sure if it's plain English enough, you can say it out loud. Call someone, say it out loud. If it's not how you'd talk, think about whether you could make it simpler. A key one here, which will, of course, I think you'll find this in your grant application paperwork, is to avoid overly technical language. Again, it's a barrier to understanding at times in your layman summary. If you use technical language, a tip that I've come across is to make sure you stick to the same terms and, of course, explain them, which you would already do, I'm sure. There are a couple of things you're welcome to try in your writing as well. Instead of writing words like therefore, you can just write so. Contractions are the best. They make our sentences shorter and our writing flow better. Use contractions, theirs, its, wouldn't, and so on. It's totally cool to do that. As I say, if it's plain enough, to say it out loud and that will be your answer. Short and concise are two different things. Short sentences are great, but sometimes sentences have to be long because you're doing a lot of complicated stuff and there are big words, am I right? Yeah. So when you can't be short, at least be concise. You're welcome to start a sentence with and, because, and so. You're welcome to remove some adverbs and modifiers that don't quite serve the purpose of your writing, unless, of course, it's a technicality and you can't make a claim. I get it. I work with medical writers who always slap me on the wrist, and I get it, believe me. And it's okay to delete some filler words such as that. It's worksheet time because I have written the fluffiest, stuffiest statement ever about Happiness Concierge that I need your help to edit, please. Using what we've learned and talked about today, rather, about plain English, about cutting the crap, I'd love it if you take your pens and scratch out all the BS that doesn't need to be here in this statement about Happiness Concierge. There's a meaning in there. It's just taking too long to get to it. I'll give you 2 minutes. The advanced challenge, of course, is to replace my lame words with simple ones that say it better, of course. Out of curiosity, what page number is this on? Of course it is. Yep. Great. And that's on camera. Terrific. Yes. This must be one long-winded statement because we're all still scratching out words. That kind of feel a bit cathartic to kind of edit someone else's words. Does it feel good? Scratch, 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 scratch. Yeah, red pen would have been better, right? I should have bought red pens. Yeah, exactly. Oh. All right, I think we're ready to get chatting about the words that we scratched out. What was one of the words you scratched out? Approximately. Why do we scratch it out? Don't need it? Doesn't really say much in this context. It certainly might in scientific writing, but here it just takes up space. What else do we get rid of or replace? In order to. What do we leave? To. Yeah, perfect. I love that. Thanks for helping me be a copywriter. What else do we scratch out? Once more? Almost. Same as approximately, right? Just kind of like, just own it. Own it with confidence. Am I right? Did we scratch out anything else? Yes. Okay. Once more. Yes. Okay. Just about. Big voice. Highly valued. Okay. Do we not value them? It's a judgment call, isn't it? Because it's kind of, you don't need to say it. We assume that being clients, of course, we value you. So I'd go with that as well. I would never use that word either. I like it. You got the gist, don't you? There's so many things that don't need to be there to say what could be a 2-sentence paragraph. Good work. Thank you so much. I'm going to look at these later and edit this on the plane back to Melbourne tonight. Writing for Humans hacks. We've had a top line session today and we're going to squeeze you out the door at 1:45. Here has what we covered. You can find these in the slides that I'll email you as well as your worksheets. Let's go through them one more time. Remember, we're only human. We're really kind of hard to engage. We just want to have a good time and we have to work quite hard to hold your attention, don't we? The average attention span there is 8 seconds. Just 8? I think less. For me, probably 3. Anybody else? 3. An active storytelling approach can bring life into your work in your layman's summary. Sharing the meaning and impact of your work is what changes hearts and minds and drives an outcome. Don't be afraid to state the obvious. Make sure that you do not let your reader come to their own conclusion. It is clear as day as to what you are doing. Do not be afraid, I think, to break a few old school rules. Starting a sentence with "and," people look at me and just go, no. But I have it on authority from a really good copywriter that it's okay to do that. And just do it. Try it out. And lastly, of course, to enjoy your writing. I know it's easy for me to say. You've got a lot of work that's coming up. November 29, is that the date? Submission. How are we feeling about that generally? I heard the word stressed, a little bit of nervous excitement maybe, because it's kind of not nervous excitement at all, just stress. Yeah, that's fair enough. And I really applaud the work that you're doing. And I want to share this slide with you because it's something that Happiness Concierge loves to do, and it's offering feed forward because feedback helps us move forward towards a goal. We love playing with words. This is one example. Feed forward is clear, kind and specific. And there's a page in your worksheets if you do want to consult someone else in the room or somewhere else outside of this for feed forward. Have a think about who that might be to help you both with stress, to check in with yourself and of course the work. It takes kind of a village sometimes when there's a big challenge ahead. And of course I'll be around for the next hour and a half if you want to shoulder tap me and have a chat. I'd be more than happy to look at your summaries or your plans and give you an opinion, yeah? The last activity for the day in your worksheets is this one. I'm guessing it's, let's go around on page 7. Let's try page 7. It could be on any of the page numbers, but it looks like this. What was that? Page 2 again. My God. I like red wine, but not that much. Using what you've learned today, describe the following in 2 sentences. I'd love to know the goal of your research in 2 sentences, remembering the tips from today. What's new or different or unique about what you're doing in 2 sentences, using the tips from today. A key finding in your research that has happened or will happen. And of course, the human impact of your research. I think we've got about 6 minutes. I'd love to get the top of your head what these things are in writing using what we've talked about today. Remember the trick of so what to distill what you want to write. remembering active words and words that express excitement, passion, and something that's unique and new. Does anybody need a hand, a tip, a high five? Would anybody be up for sharing what they've written down in 2 sentences? I know a few of you are still scurrying away. Anybody be up for sharing what they've written? I do take strong eye contact as an opportunity to engage. Learn that about me. I'm looking at you because you gave me eye contact, you see. You don't have to. It's okay. Well, the red is fabulous. What do you do? Yes, I'm down with that. I'd approve your grant application. Yes. I'm going to, roving Mike, get me out on the floor. How did you go?
That's great. Okay. So the goal of my research is to empower health practitioners and people, to empower health practitioners and people to eat better and get better. And I'll do this by building smart technologies that link them with resources and evidence so that they save money and save time.
That was brilliant. Grant approved. That was fantastic. What did we love about that? For me, I loved the word empower. That's an active word. Smart. And save time and money. Hello. Who doesn't want that? Well done. That's great. Anybody else like to share what they've written down in any of these points? It's okay. I get it. I want to leave you with a little quote from
my colleague Nicole Hatherley, who is wise beyond her years. She came up with this. She said, science is a human endeavour with a human impact, and science is part of everyone's story. And the more I thought about it, it's actually very bloody true, isn't it? The work you do is totally human. And if we can make sure that the broader audience knows it's also part of their story, we can connect the meaning, we can influence outcomes, and we can make a broader impact. And that's really important. So congratulations to all of you for all the work you're doing. I really look forward to seeing how everyone goes in November 29. I've got it in my diary as the date to look out for. I've been Alex Gedye from Happiness Concierge. Thank you so much for coming along this afternoon. Yeah. I will add, if you wouldn't mind, because we're finishing a little bit early, there is a feedback form on your seat. I'd love to know what I can do differently, better, the same next time. If you could spare 1 minute to fill that out for me as your very final activity. Thank you so much.